Mark chapter 1 verse 33 says, "And the whole city was gathered together at the door." This passage is more than a simple statement of the events in Capernaum. It is a profound illustration of the compelling power of Jesus Christ, a power that drew the entire city to his presence. The scene is nothing short of extraordinary. People flocking to the door of a humble house, not for spectacle, but because they were desperate for what only Christ could provide. Imagine the sight. The streets of Capernaum filled with people from all walks of life, pressing in to catch a glimpse of the Savior. Why? Because the words and works of Jesus had stirred something deep within them. This gathering wasn't the result of mere curiosity. It was the response of souls hungering for truth, for healing, for deliverance from the bondage of sin and death. This scene in Capernaum is a microcosm of the world's need for Christ, a need that remains just as pressing today as it was then. The city gathered because they recognized that Jesus was no ordinary man. They saw in him the fulfillment of Isaiah's prophecy. "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to set at liberty those who are oppressed." Luke chapter 4 verse 18. They were drawn by the undeniable truth that he was the promised Messiah, the one who had the authority to forgive sins and the power to heal. This gathering also serves as a stark reminder of the urgency with which we must seek Christ. The whole city didn't hesitate. They didn't wait for a more convenient time. They came immediately, driven by their need and their belief that Jesus alone could meet that need. How many today are delaying, waiting for a better time to come to Christ, not realizing that today is the day of salvation? Revelation chapter 3 verse 20 warns us of the consequences of delay. "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come into him and dine with him, and he with me." The door won't remain open forever. Moreover, this passage challenges us to consider whether our lives exhibit the same magnetism for Christ that drew the crowds in Capernaum. Are we living in such a way that others are compelled to seek Jesus because of what they see in us? The testimony of our lives should be a constant reminder to the world of the power and presence of Christ. In 2 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 20, we are called to be ambassadors for Christ, as though God were pleading through us. If our lives don't draw people to Jesus, we must ask ourselves if we're truly living in his power. The whole city gathered because they knew they needed what only Christ could offer. They came because they were drawn by the truth that he is the way, the truth, and the life. John chapter 14 verse 6. This passage is a convicting reminder that we must not only come to Christ ourselves, but also live in such a way that others are drawn to him through us. The urgency, the magnetism, and the power of Christ must be evident in our lives if we are to be true witnesses of his grace and truth.